Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
I'm often asked how come I always adjust the atlas first, right behind the skull. It's obvious that my dog's problem is in his butt. I mean, anybody can see that. Come on, Doc, how come you adjust his neck first? Well, just because that's where the symptom is, which is, the weak back leg, the muscle, doesn't mean that's where the problem is. For instance, if I were to step on your dog's tail, the dog's going to yip. So that would mean, the symptom is a yip, a vocalization. It's up at his front end. But, what caused it? Me stepping on the dog's tail. So that's kind of like if we have a nerve impingement at the first cervical vertebra, it affects trillions of nerves in the whole body, all the way through the body. And so therefore, when we relieve that subluxation at the base of the skull, it affects everything all the way through the body. Just like when we step on the tail, the front end yips. When we adjust the front end, the back end gets better. And that's why I always adjust your dog's atlas first.
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book. Yes, it's really a thing.
Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. For me, my hero is Frank, my best friend. But even the greatest heroes need help sometimes. Frank and I were at the park the other day when he started limping and favoring his left leg. I didn't see what happened, but I could tell something was wrong. So we went to see Frank's favorite vet, Yvette. Yvette the vet. After running some tests, she determined that Frank had torn his ACL. His best option was surgery. But unfortunately for me, surgery wasn't an option. So what could I possibly do to be a hero to my hurting hero? That was when Yvette told us about hero braces. She took a quick cast of his leg and said this mold would be used to create a biomechanically designed stifle brace, custom made just for Frank, allowing his body's natural healing processes to take over and stabilize the knee. About 2 weeks later, she fitted the brace and gave us the green light to walk, hike, and snuggle, and do all the activities that Frank and I were used to doing. It was that simple. Hero braces are lightweight, don't stretch or tear, and are durably designed to last the life of your dog. So Frank can get back to being Frank. Like I said, heroes come in all shapes and sizes. And lucky for us, so do hero braces.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Stan Smith. I'm the CEO of X-Dog and the inventor of the X-Dog Weight and Fitness Vest. What is the X-Dog Weight and Fitness Vest? In a nutshell, it is the world's greatest harness for dogs. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're looking to build muscle, combat obesity, address anxiety issues, high energy, you want to suppress that energy level. If you just want to take the average walk and turning into a health improving workout, we made it so convenient to exercise your dog that you literally only need about 30 seconds a day. It doesn't matter if you're doing basic obedience training or compete at high level dog sports or in protection sports. The X-Dog Weight and Fitness Vest can enhance it and take any type of daily lifestyle to the next level. If you want to be part of our mission of eliminating canine obesity or just being a part of our team, make sure you go to teamxdog.com. As always, man, I want to thank you for your time and your support, and Team X-Dog strong.
Hello everyone, and welcome to barfworld.com. If you're seeing this video, it typically means you're interested in trying our 90-day challenge. If your pet is suffering from allergies, kidney issues, obesity, diabetes, or even cancer, our food can help with that. So if you're ready to see your pet's health dramatically improve in just 90 days, call us and schedule your consultation today. Hope to talk to you guys soon.
Join us as Dr. O interviews a certified chiropractor, veterinarian, or an animal owner. These enthusiastic people explain how they utilize animal chiropractic to alter the lives of the animals in their communities.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. And once again, I'm here with an animal chiropractor who's setting the world on fire. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Brianna.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brianna Husby. I am living right now in Bend, Oregon, and have a dual practice. So I'm a chiropractor by my career, and I see people Monday through Thursday. Then I have a separate animal chiropractic practice, which I primarily do on Fridays and the weekends. So it's kind of best of both worlds.
All right. So what's your biggest win with animal chiropractic?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask me this question, Doc, and I was like thinking about it. My biggest win. I mean, if it's me personally, like my biggest win has just been the evolution of self that I've gotten to have. That's been a privilege working with animals. And this has been for my entire life, not just through animal chiropractic, but most of my animal chiropractic practice is with horses. And they're such a mirror, they teach you so much. And I know that it is constantly pushing me to be my most authentic and my best self for my patients. But also, of course, that translates into the entire rest of my life and both of my practices. So if we're talking about me, that's what I feel like I've won the most from it. But I could go on and on about success stories that these amazing patients have had. And this is not touting me, of course. This is just chiropractic, it works. And I think the patients that I really enjoy working with the most are the horses that are so high strung. And, you meet your client for the first time, you meet their horse for the first time. Maybe they're like an off the track thoroughbred, right? And just running on rocket fuel and don't know how to be a horse. I mean, this is a lot of my patients. And you finally get to the point where you start your spinal exam and their first adjustment, and you just see these animals come down out of fight or flight and settle into their body for the first time. That's one of my favorite moments working with a horse. And it's more common than, you'd think. There's horses out there that are hiding under this shell of dissociation, and horses that we work with here in Central Oregon that are off a reservation and have been rounded up by the BLM. And, these animals just go through so much in their lifetime in the name of the domesticated lifestyle that they're now being demanded. And this gift that we get to give them through chiropractic, it just invites them to come back to their selves. So it's really such a huge privilege. It's a win for everybody.
True. Yes. Yeah. So it is and it's amazing the transformation when you can just stabilize sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
And
100%.
by doing that, just think of all the other things that we're improving. You know, a lot of people, oh, it's just musculoskeletal. It's just,
Mm-mm.
pain, it's fear. Okay. So it's fear. But if these animals are in fear, what else isn't working properly?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You know?
everything. We, my office that I work with people, we had the privilege of going to a conference this weekend in Washington and hearing Monica Berger speak. So if you're a chiropractor, that name will sound familiar to you if you're listening to this, but she's one of the most amazing minds out there on chiropractic neurology. And she talks a lot about the fear centers of the brain and the amygdala being so hyperactive, especially in a state of subluxation, that it shuts down more than 50% of the functions of the entire rest of the body on typically such a subclinical level that it goes unnoticed for decades in people. And in horses, it's like probably less. I mean, probably more, because they don't speak English. We can't hear them talk about this stuff, but they're still feeling it and they're still experiencing it.
Right. I mean, you've been to the ranch. We have all these horses, that basically came here to die,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we let them live out their life drug-free.
Yeah.
They get to move around however they want, and when they decide to go, it's their time. And the only thing we provide for them is some good nutrition and a chiropractic adjustment at least twice a month.
At least. Right.
And
key,
those
right?
are all by students. A lot of our horses that live at the ranch with us, have never been adjusted by a certified animal chiropractor. They've been adjusted by students on their way to certification, supervised by certified animal chiropractors. But it's so amazing what, and even the students a lot of times are amazed at the difference they make with a very specific adjustment.
Yeah.
I find it very we let everybody kind of do their own thing when it's time to adjust, and we'll be like, what were you adjusting? And they'll give me a listing, and I'll be like, I doubt that horse had that, because it's very difficult to get that in a horse. Very common in people, but very difficult in a horse. So why don't you try adjusting the other side and see what happens? And so they'll adjust a subluxation on the other side, and they're just like, oh, I don't think I did anything. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's try that butt tuck again and see what happens.
He was moving now. Yeah, if I can brag about your guys' program for a second, Dr. O, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I got, and having been a chiropractor going into this, not a vet, is the foundation of trusting your intuition when it comes to the adjustment. Because chiropractors coming into that program will know the listings for people, will know the anatomy for people, but to translate that into the anatomy of the animal, you get the educational foundation working with you guys. You get like the approach and the listings, but then when you actually go to put your hands on the horse, I remember you and Dr. Amy both being like, trust your gut. Like it will tell you where the subluxation is and how to correct it. And being able to follow that, because, you can't ask your patient afterward, like, does that feel better? Which again, is not the point of the adjustment, but, that's such a huge piece, because you develop such a strong intuition working with animals and identifying and correcting subluxation.
Right. And movement is more important than the lick and chew.
Oh yeah.
You know,
because they hide it, right? Especially these like high-strung OTDBs, they won't release the lick and chew stuff until like hours afterward when they're by themselves in their pasture. So you can't just be looking for that, right?
Well, and I don't know if you watch YouTube videos or not, but I do, and I just cringe sometimes. But they're like this. Somebody will do something to a horse. Oh, he loved that. He's licking and chewing and all kinds of stuff, and it's like,
Yeah, I know.
You fire joint mechanoreceptors. You can do that whether you're in the right LOC or in the wrong LOC.
It's true. Yeah.
You can, And if you're in the wrong LOC, you're still going to fire joint mechanoreceptors, but you didn't change brain activity.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you can line up a chiropractor and a physiotherapist and a massage practitioner all side by side and tell them apply this force in this direction into this joint. And 2 out of the 3 times, I mean, 3 out of 3 times you'll move something, you'll fire into the joints, right? But only one of those times is it a true adjustment. And the difference is the philosophy and the intention.
Correct. I heard a chiropractor, Dr. Drew Henderson, he's a DE doctor out of Georgia. And he told me, he said, you can't adjust an extremity. I know. And I said, okay. He said, well, the chiropractic adjustment is aimed at changing the shape and architecture of the vertebral foramen to remove interference from the nervous system as it exits the canal.
Mm-hmm.
And there ain't no vertebral foramen in that there talus.
That's true. You're not wrong.
He said you can manipulate an extremity,
Sure. Yeah.
but you can only adjust the spine. And I was like, whoa. I mean, that's huge because we don't adjust in our practice. We don't adjust very many extremities. And in class, we teach you guys. That's the last thing we teach because it's not very important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If you clear out the central circuitry of a computer and the motherboard first, how many times are you going to have to go downstream and work on those farther out circuits? Fewer if you start at the center, right?
Yeah. And it's so yeah. And when he told me that, it was like,
yeah,
that's a light bulb moment, you know?
Sure,
It's
sure.
like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the philosophy is everything.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, you can take 2 chiropractors that don't know, one knows philosophy and one doesn't know their why.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, and for whatever reason. You know, I've talked to some chiropractors that went to good chiropractic philosophy schools, and they said some of their classmates would skip out on philosophy because they didn't think it was important.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, you know, so of course those classmates didn't get the philosophy.
Yeah.
And then there's some schools that don't teach philosophy, but there's chiropractors that go to some of those schools that go to seminars and they get philosophy.
Yeah, true.
And so you can't just say it's one school or one, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's the individual.
yeah,
I think you know, that's such a huge piece because when you're in practice, when you're working with people, it's so easy. I won't say it's easy, but it's more easy to get into that mechanistic mindset of just moving a bone, you know. And I think because we can communicate with our patients verbally, it's easy to get stuck on symptoms and symptomatic change and that, which is a piece of the care, but not the entire piece. When you're working with a horse, I mean, we know that they have the highest distribution of mirror neurons in the entire animal species. And so they will reflect back to you. This is the neurological basis of empathy. They'll reflect back to you your intention. And if your intention is just to bop a bone, you know, you're going to see that reaction in the horse. I mean, it's a reverberation back to you. It's not going to be absorbed. That energy transfer isn't absorbed the same way into the animal. So like I keep saying, it develops and it will strengthen your practice as a doctor, getting to work with animals, but especially horses.
Yeah. And, you know, my practice is mainly dogs, but yeah. And so I would have to disagree.
I mean, this is my bag. Yeah. My personal preference.
You know, but yeah, we do, you know, the horses that we get to adjust are amazing. And the owners, you know, I had a client that came in every 2 weeks. Routine, boom, every 2 weeks. And I would check the whole spine and adjust C7 on the right. And that was it. Every once in a while, maybe an atlas, but mainly C7 on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I said, you know, I feel guilty taking your money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, you know, give me at least $100 every time you come in. Sometimes it's not during office hours, so it's more, but it's $100. And she said, "Oh, Dr. O, don't ever think you're taking my money. What you do is worth so much."
Mm.
That one vertebral subluxation that you correct is a half a second. And in my world, that's the difference between, placing and not placing. You see that 3-horse slant with a living quarter trailer out there? Okay. I use that for free because my horse won a couple major barrel races, and the sponsors gave me that trailer to
Wow.
drive up and down the road. It's all painted with all these, sponsor signs on it.
Yeah.
And that's what you and the chiropractic adjustment did. And I said, "No, it's not me. It's just the chiropractic adjustment." But keeping my horse chiropractically adjusted allows me to promote for these sponsors, and they're grateful, so they give me this trailer to drive. So you never know what you say or do today,
Yep.
and she tells people, "Man,
Yeah.
I wish I had a trailer like that." Well, get your horse adjusted, and
Right.
you might.
It's game changing for people. It used to be, such a taboo alternative branch of the healthcare space. And it's, I think, amazingly getting used more and more, especially in the performance world. And so people are starting to see these changes with their horses, with their dogs. And it's, cool because it's visible and it's measurable when you can see the performance improve. But I run into that a lot. It's funny that you say you keep finding that C7 on the right. I work with a lot of different horses of different disciplines and clients who do different disciplines. And it's a tough conversation. And I don't know if this is going to be a controversial topic. I don't know who all listens to this podcast, but
Go for it.
I see similar subluxations show up within the same discipline. Like, okay, jumpers, right? 100 jumpers come up over the jump, land, 4 feet, hit the ground. All that shock gets absorbed through the thoracic sling and goes like right into the lower cervical every single time. And then these owners will take their horse for radiographs and, he's got some stiffness, and they almost always will show early onset of degeneration in the lower cervical spine. And they're like, "What? My horse is 6. How is this possible?" And it's a really tricky conversation because I love that they enjoy this sport with their horse, and I love that their horse sometimes enjoys it too. But you have to be honest with your clients when it comes to communication as a chiropractor in this space, and be honest about the forces and the demands that we're placing on these animals, because we can't get attached to the agenda. We can't get attached to, "I love jumping." It has to be what's right for my horse. And I will get on a soapbox about this.
Well, but those are whiplash lesions.
Yes.
And so for those of you that are watching and can see my hand, when a human's in a car accident, their head goes forward, backwards, and forwards.
Yeah.
So down, up, and down. Okay. And we know that whiplash happens at 8 miles an hour. We start to see symptoms in humans.
Yep.
All right. In the horse and the dog, because Dr. Amy and I have done this study, and 92% of dogs that jump for a living have whiplash lesions. 18% of dogs that don't jump for a living have whiplash lesions. It's a huge difference. But when a dog goes over a jump, they look up to see where the jump is. A horse looks up to see where the jump is. Their head goes up. They land. Gravity takes their head towards the ground at 22.8 miles an hour. Almost 3 times the speed necessary to get whiplash lesions.
Wow.
The head goes down. The brain says the number 2 priority of the nervous system, the number 2 priority of the nervous system is we have to see the horizon. So head goes down because of gravity, can't see the horizon, head comes back up, down, and it's at 22.8 miles an hour.
Yikes.
Okay. So instead of, yes, it is, you either need to retire your horse, not inject it. That's not going to be And in fact, injecting with steroids, like most veterinarians want to do, has been proven to degrade muscles and degrade bone and cartilage. So make it harder, or actually promotes the degenerative process, even though it masks the symptoms.
Right.
However, a chiropractic adjustment will remove and restore motion to those lower joints.
Right.
So C7, C6, C7 hurt when you get them adjusted. They hurt in a person when you get them adjusted. Okay. This isn't going to feel good, but it has to happen because of what your horse is doing. It is getting whiplash lesions.
Yeah.
So do I need to retire my horse? No. Get it adjusted every couple weeks, before and after every big competition.
Yes, that's so important too. I think a lot of times people will think, oh, I don't want to spend money on doing this if my jump is going to undo the adjustment. But we tell everybody, human and equine athletes alike, you get adjusted right before, so you're in your tip-top peak performance shape. You do the hard thing, and then you come back and you get adjusted and you clear the slate back out again. Then you're firing on all cylinders.
We like Wednesday before a big weekend because it took the body time to get sick. It takes the body time to heal. So Wednesday is a busy day in our practice because everybody's going to their 3-day events. Usain Bolt, has his own chiropractor.
Yeah.
And if he runs 4, people are like, oh, but isn't that too much? If he runs 4 times in a day, he gets adjusted 5 times.
Wow.
He gets adjusted before the first race, in between each race, and after the last race.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to understand. You got to understand the demand on the body. And then you have to weigh it in your head. You go, okay, I picture in my mind this like old fashioned set of scales. And I go, okay, if my body is under this much demand, this many stressful things in this bucket, my self-care has to at least be here, at least to equal it. Ideally here, and then we're tipping in a positive direction with the health. But the chiropractic adjustment, of course, goes in this bucket. But like you said, proper nutrition, proper rest, which some of these athletes are totally deprived of. And, a positive mental and environmental space. The performance industry is really challenging for a lot of everybody, human athletes, but horses, especially in the dressage arena and in the equine hunter jumpers, they get so in their head. They don't have time to just be a horse. They don't have time to go out and graze and chill for a minute.
Yeah. Most of these horses, like our horses are out grazing, and we watch them and they're moving around. I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
We have 192 acres here. And a lot of these horses come from, an 8x10 stall, and they get out. The only time they get out is to walk or be ridden.
On a hot walk or something.
Yeah. And they come here and they're like, it's like the first 2 weeks, they don't leave the barn area.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how.
Yeah.
They'll graze and they'll eat, and the rest of the horses will leave them and they'll whinny and they'll be like, oh, how come,
Yeah.
But they don't know. And then after they've been here a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, I can move. This is cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And but like you said, once we're born, we're either moving towards health or towards death.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody stays in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just constantly moving one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear some people, and I talk to some chiropractors, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm 8 weeks out to get to see a new patient. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so bad for that animal, because that means for 8 weeks, he's moving in the wrong direction.
I know. You asked me before we jumped into this, Dr. O, you're like, okay, what do you want veterinarians and chiropractors who don't currently practice animal chiropractic, what do you want them to know? If I could say one thing about it, and to that point, it's not that hard to work into your practice. We think in our head, it's going to be so complicated and I have to figure out how to, the initial licensure, yes, requires time, requires resources, energy, finances. But I mean, it's a relatively efficient program, especially with you guys, the way I did this. It's, you can still have a full-time practice wherever you are. You fly out to Texas for a couple weekends, right? Get hands-on with the certification and then pass your ABCA or IBCA at the end. And then just find a way to, on most animal chiropractic practices, if they're equine, are probably mobile. So, you know, find a part of the day or part of the week where those are your hours. And once you start to create a name in your community, people understand what you're doing. And especially if you have a good philosophy and a why, it'll build itself, you know?
Yeah, it does.
It's so underserved.
Well, and when we do the show me chiropractic, you know, things like butt tucks and neck stretches, you know, so the one thing that you said that I really appreciate is that you get your certification, because it is becoming more and more demand. People don't know, lay people don't know why the difference between a lay person doing chiropractic, a chiropractor with no training doing animal chiropractic, a veterinarian with no philosophy doing animal chiropractic, and a trained ABCA certified doctor that has philosophy. Because there's some, just like in all professions, there's some ABCA certified doctors out there that know how to adjust, have a fairly decent practice, decent size practice, but they have no chiropractic philosophy. And the ones that really use animal chiropractic as a tool, you know, I have at least 2 veterinarians that I know of that have increased their exam price by $25. So routine exam price is $25 more than it used to be. And in their initial paperwork, it says your animal's atlas will be checked. And if it is subluxated, Dr. X will remove the vertebral subluxation as part of the routine exam.
That's fantastic. Can you imagine if every single vet in the world did that?
Yeah. Well, every single doctor, every single chiropractor, every single, you know, not that we're going to adjust every atlas, although let's face it, how many times have you seen a horse that didn't need their atlas adjusted?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And when we adjust the atlas, we do so many things. I was talking to a bovine surgeon the other day, and he was like, "Oh, chiropractic is hooey." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "So when you do surgery, every one of them comes out the same. When you do the surgery on an animal, if you remove, this horse had OCD, or cow had OCD lesions in its hocks." And I said, "So if you do this surgery on 100 cows, they all respond exactly the same?" And he said, "Well, no, some get infected, some don't," you know. Took a while to get him to say that. And I said, "Why is that? Why do you think that happens?" I said, "You ever think that maybe it's the nervous system of that animal?" You know?
Yeah, we teach a lot of workshops in our office for people, and I ask that question a lot. I'll go, same question, just different format. You know, if whole family's sitting down for dinner at the Thanksgiving table and someone coughs and whatever, everyone's exposed, and you know, 3 people get sick and the rest of the table doesn't. Like, why? And people understand this in their own context. They're like, well, someone's healthier than the other. Or, oh, someone's got, you know, better metabolism or something. But they don't always connect the dots between the nervous system, because we don't know that that's the nervous system's main job in the body, is to adapt to stress. That's its main job. You know, heart's main job is to pump blood, and lungs' main job is to help you breathe. But nervous system's main job is to help you adapt to stress. And the consequence of that, if it's not handled in a healthy mechanism, is subluxation. And then the consequence of that downstream, we start to see all this stuff. Maybe the hocks don't heal properly after an OCD surgery. And once we can connect those dots between the traditional medical model and chiropractic, then every single chiropractor, this is my dream utopia, every single medical doctor for a wellness check for a patient does all their normal stuff, adds $25 to the exam, checks, palpates for subluxation. And if they find it, they go, I'm going to refer you to a chiropractor. Just like if they thought someone had an appendix, you know, I'm going to refer you to someone who can handle that. It's it's a branch of, it should
You
be
bet.
integrated.
Yeah, it should be integrated. So, and you said the heart's main job is to circulate blood, and the lungs' main job is to breathe. But when's the last time you told your heart to beat?
Exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I know.
And here's the other thing. If my neck is out of alignment, there's two nerves running on each side. They're called the vagal nerves that control my heart rate and my ability to breathe evenly. So if my neck has a little bit of a twist in it or a little bit of a subluxation in it, those two nerves will have different tone, and they will be giving different feedback to the brain. So, might I have AFib because the right side of my heart isn't working as good as the left side of my heart?
Yeah.
Might I have a heart enlargement because one muscle's working harder than the other muscle, and so they can't keep up?
Yeah. Yeah. I love talking with people about this when we first start care, talking with clients and owners about this in context of their animal. They go, oh, my horse is prone to ulcers, or, oh, he's, a person in the office, I have asthma, exercise-induced asthma. Okay. Can chiropractic help with those things? And the answer consistently, I'll be honest, is I don't know, but there are nerves that go there. And that is my job, is to make sure that those nerves are firing properly and you have no interference between your brain and that end organ. That's my job. And then, of course, you do the adjustment and things unfold. And like so many percentage of the time, that does improve. But, chiropractors will get real attached to treating conditions. And that's not our job. Our job is central.
And it's how I got into chiropractic. People ask me all the time how I got into chiropractic, and it's because I didn't know the right question, if that makes any sense. My son had seizures, and somebody said, you need to find a chiropractor. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll find a chiropractor that treats seizures. And so I started calling chiropractors. Do you treat seizures? No. Thanks for playing, and it's like everybody says I should go see a chiropractor. Not everybody, but a few people said I should go see a chiropractor, and I can't find one because I'm asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
And
It's just people don't know what questions to ask, though. This isn't taught.
No, that's correct. And the question isn't, I don't know if my adjustment will treat your animal's seizures, or in your case, your son's seizures. I don't know, but I do know that his body will function better when his nervous system is not restricted by vertebral subluxations. Wow. Anyway. Yep. So how do I get my horse or myself, my family, in your case, adjusted by you if I live in the Bend area?
Well, I'm not scheduled 8 weeks out right now, Dr. O, but it's pretty far out for horses right now. If you are a person and you want to come in for an adjustment, the clinic that I work with is called Pangea, like the original continent, and that's for a reason. Okay. And I work with 4 other amazing doctors, so there's 5 of us in the practice. I trust these guys with my life, so even if you don't come in to see me, all of them are fantastic. So we are accepting new patients, and you can always give us a call. We would always love to chat with you on the phone before you come in so that we can find out what's going on for you and make sure it's a good fit for what you're looking for. And same thing with your horse. My clinic is called Wildlife Animal Chiropractic. And I named it that because I believe that every single living, breathing thing deserves to live its most authentic and connected and wildest life. And something that's wild is something that's as close to its true nature as possible. So that's my my animal chiropractic practice.
All right.
And we're mobile around. I'm mobile around the Central Oregon area, primarily Bend, but I do travel to Sisters and then East Bend and South Bend as well right now.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for spending some time today with us.
Thanks,
we appreciate it always. And for all you out there listening, remember the body heals one way, one way only, above, down, inside out. Keep those houses adjusted.
Yes.
Until next time. All right.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.